North Carolina, where I work for the Alliance for American Quilts, a national nonprofit dedicated to documenting, preserving, and sharing the rich history of quilts and quilt makers. First of all, thank you for volunteering for Team Q.S.O.S. We are pleased and honored to have your help as we interview 66 Texas quilt makers featured in the new book, Lone Stars 3, A Legacy of Texas Quilts, 1986 to 2011, by Carrie Bresnahan and Nancy O'Brien Puentes, two of the co-founders of the Alliance for American Quilts. Quilters SOS Save Our Stories, also known as Q.S.O.S, is one of several Alliance projects designed to collect and preserve the stories of quilts and quilt makers and make those stories widely available now and for the future. This short video will introduce you to things you need to know or think about as you prepare to volunteer at the International Quilt Festival, November 2nd through the 6th. In this first video, I'll tell you what you can expect when you get to Houston, where and when we'll hold our review session, where to check in on the day of your shift, and what to expect during your shift. In video 2, I'll explain the Q.S.O.S process and give you tips for conducting your interview, from collecting permission forms to choosing and asking interview questions. Many of you indicated that you will be able to attend our Team Q.S.O.S review session from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Wednesday, November 2nd at the George R. Brown Convention Center. We'll meet at the entrance to Exhibit Hall E on the ground floor, then walk in together to the Q.S.O.S booths and go over the logistics of our interview sessions. We'll cover all of the volunteer jobs and go over the steps that each interviewee will go through as they participate. Afterward, we'll head up to room 332 A through F on the 3rd floor of the Convention Center for the rest of the session. On the way, we'll stop briefly at the volunteer check-in desk on the 2nd floor so you'll know where to check in on the day of your shift. During the second part of the review session, we'll watch a demonstration interview with Lone Stars 3 artist Leslie Tucker Jennison, conducted by new Q.S.O.S volunteer Jamie Fingal. You will see how Jamie uses questions from our simple interview quadrant questions list to interview Leslie using a quilt of her choosing as the starting point for the conversation. You will have a chance to ask questions at the end of the interview. We have a number of volunteer jobs to fill on Team Q.S.O.S, including registrars, interviewers, scribes, photographers, IT folks, and floaters. Transcription of the interviews will take place after festival, thanks to underwriting by our sponsors. You will know in advance what your role will be and have an opportunity to ask questions during the Q&A phone conference, via email in advance, or at the review session on Wednesday, November 2nd. On the day of your shift, go to the Volunteer Assistant Check-In desk on the 2nd floor of Hall D at the top of the escalators to get your admission badge. They will have a list of all Q.S.O.S volunteers and what day you are scheduled to work. You will need to confirm with the desk attendant whether your badge is good for the whole show or whether you'll need to pick up a new badge each day you work. Admission badges can be picked up as early as 15 minutes before closing on the day before your shift. When you enter the exhibit hall, come in entrance E and show your badge to the door attendant. Our morning interview sessions will begin before the exhibit or vendor halls open, so it's imperative that you wear your Q.S.O.S volunteer ID badge at that time, even if you have already purchased one or received a day pass. Please arrive in the Q.S.O.S booth at least 5 minutes early so you'll have time to put your things down and get settled before your shift begins. When you arrive, please sign in with our volunteer coordinator who will help you get oriented and get to know your fellow volunteers. It's going to take a village to get this project done. Our booths will be semi-private to allow us to record the best quality audio possible. This means that we will be in booths draped on all four sides. The spaces will be private but not secured, so we will expect everyone to take responsibility for their own belongings during their shift. Interviewees will be expected to carry their quilt into the Q.S.O.S. booth at the time of their interview and take it with them when the interview is over. We just don't have enough secure space to offer holding services during the show. Please be sure to sign out with the volunteer coordinator after your shift is over. If you need to leave for a break, please also let the volunteer coordinator know so we can make arrangements to cover your post. Interviewees are scheduled to arrive 15 minutes before their interview starts. The registrar will greet them and ask them to fill out 2 forms in the reception area: a permission release form and a quilt and quilt maker information form. During this pre-interview time, their interviewer or a photography assistant will hang the touchstone quilt or object that the quilt maker has brought with them in the interview booth. The quilt maker may need some help at this time measuring their quilt for the information form. A tape measure along with other supplies will be located in each interview booth. Interviews will last 30 to 45 minutes. This time frame is used consistently across the Q.S.O.S. project, and in this case it's important to stay on schedule. We want all interviewees and volunteers to have a pleasant experience and to feel that their time is valued and well used during the Q.S.O.S. project at Festival. Interviewees are scheduled with a stagger of 5 to 10 minutes so that we can hopefully avoid a backup in the photo booth as the interviews conclude. After the interview, the photo team will help the interviewer and the interviewee move the quilt to the photography booth. For the full frame photo, the interviewee will stand alongside their quilt holding a small sign with their Q.S.O.S. ID number on it. While holding the sign may seem strange or awkward, this is an important step in the documentation process. Having the ID number pictured in the photograph ensures that the photo will always be tied to the interview recording and transcript, which are also tagged with this ID number. Detailed photographs of the quilt will also be taken. After the photo session is complete, it's time for thank yous and goodbyes. The photo team will escort the interviewee to the registration table to check out. The registrar will check to be sure that the interviewee has collected all of their belongings and turned in their permission and information forms. As they leave, each interviewee will receive a big thank you, a Q.S.O.S. interviewee lapel pin, and a sheet on what to expect after their interview is transcribed. As you can see, the whole team will contribute to the success of this project, and I look forward to meeting and working with each of you. Thanks for watching and listening to Part 1 of our Team Q.S.O.S. training series. In Part 2, we'll cover Q.S.O.S. interview basics, from collecting permission forms to choosing and asking interview questions.